Coming up on today's show, we will be reviewing Don't Worry, Darling.
And I'll be chatting to the star of Ticket to Paradise, Caitlin Dever.
Hello and welcome to What's On at Cineworld Cinemas. I am Luke Owen.
And I can be found wandering the streets of London with an Aperol spritz. Dan Layton.
Aperol?
Aperol?
I just said Aperol.
I've never known. And no one knows. When you go...
No one I know.
I just kind of have that red one, but like with spritzy.
No, I do
you know. For a fact?
I know for a fact it's
Are you
Aperol.
Mr. Aperol?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've known them
All right.
in the past.
I've known them intimately. Fine. Whatever. Campari's also available. Other spritzes are available.
I actually have got a very funny story about Aperol Spritz, but I'll tell you that off air.
Please.
Because we have got business to attend to, and that business is the business of the 1950s.
It indeed
and
is.
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh, a fan of an Aperol spritz. Hence,
Is she really?
That's why I said the line, Luke. It was themed.
Well, I assumed it was something connected, but I didn't know that.
There was an
that Miss Pugh-
amazing video of Miss Flo walking to the press conference for Don't Worry, Darling, holding a little Aperol spritz.
Aperol Spritz. She
can't-
is
I'm never gonna
incredible.
rage.
Isn't she?
Okay, here's the thing. Let's get into it immediately. Florence Pugh is, as far as I'm concerned, the Meryl Streep of this generation. She is one of the finest actors, I think, working today. Have you seen Lady Macbeth? Incredible. Midsummer, incredible. Even in the Marvel movies, in the Marvel MCU now, she is playing that role with aplomb. She's really bringing a little flavour to it and something really interesting. And understandably, Gen Z have very much taken to her and gone, she is our champion.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Captain, my captain, with Florence Pugh. Little Women, unbelievable.
Midsummer, I would say, is hereditary, but actually good. Actually worthy of the praise that it got.
Well, and it became this cultural sort of moment in no small part due to Florence Pugh's performance.
She was so incredible in this.
And that's what brings us to Don't Worry, Darling, which is that Florence Pugh is the movie. It is all about her. It is her. She is the center of it. She is what drives it. She is what lifts it. Her performance is so consummate and unbelievably tight. It's so good. She's just wonderful. And it's an incredible movie in terms of the things that it has to say. It's asking so many questions. It's really thinking a lot about the things that are affecting us today, but looking at the prism in the 1950s with things about misogyny, about capitalism, lots of massive questions that are really being played with and unpacked in this kind of fascinating little dystopian, almost Stepford Wives.
Yeah, Stepford Wives is like a really good example.
It's a great,
to sort of like compare the film against.
Yeah, it's a Stepford Wives. It's got shades of Get Out. It's got shades of How to Marry a Millionaire. Like loads of different influences that you can see. And Olivia Wilde, who is star of the movie but also the director, had an incredible debut with Booksmart. Did you see Booksmart?
Oh, I adored Booksmart.
Linking to later on, starring Caitlin Dever of Ticket to Paradise, who I chatted to. It's all linked this week. It really is. But it was well, can you believe? It was a wonderful movie, really exciting, a really different and fresh take, which is what led to this massive bidding war for Olivia Wilde's new movie, which was to become Don't Worry, Darling, because people were so intrigued by this, female director's vision, the way she had the sort of the lamp. Where am I going with this? The lamp with which she looks at things. That's a new analogy for.
And if I see Mark Kermode using that in one of his reviews, I'll know that he stole it.
The lamp with which she looks. But no, it's a really, really fun movie. It's really, and it's Harry Styles.
You're a big fan of Harry.
Love Harry Styles. He's a wonderful little chap. It's also got Gemma Chan and Chris Pine. It's a great cast.
It's a really good cast. What I quite like about now that Don't Worry, Darling is here, and it's actually now out and people are seeing it and we're getting reviews of it and everything like that, is that a lot of the chatter, the pre-chatter before the film had come out, because there's been quite a lot of drama.
A little bit.
Drama surrounding it and stuff. And I feel that now the film's actually here, a lot of that chatter has died off and we're now actually just sort of like watching the final product in an interesting way. Like I was talking in the office about this earlier because one of my co-hosts was not this co-host, a different co-host.
You have other friends.
I have other friends, unfortunately, I'm afraid to say. This is not just my only gig. And he was saying that he wanted to go see it on Friday.
Yeah.
but it's sold out.
Right.
And then he was like, oh, so I'm booking tickets for Saturday, and that was sold out. And it's big. And then one of our social media manager was sort of about how like a lot of the sort of the drama and chatter around it is actually fueling people to go and see the movie and sort of see what the final outcome of it all has been.
Well, it was always going to have that kind of draw anyway, because you have Harry Styles, because you have Florence Pugh, who are the darlings of this generation. So then when you do, I think it would be a shame if people's opinions of the movie was peppered by the sort of gossip element of what's going on. If you like a little bit of scandal, you like a bit of drama in your marketing campaign, that's all fine. But go and see the movie and appreciate it on its own level, because without all of that, it's still got a lot to say. It's still going to raise a lot of questions for you. And that for me is the best part of going to a movie, is leaving the movie and talking about it and thinking about what, the answers to these questions are.
And plus, like, I have a flow chart when I go to decide when I watch a movie, and that flow chart is Florence Pugh in it? If it's yes, then yes, I'm going to go and see it. If it's no, it's like, we'll go see something else.
Right, okay.
But like, this one's got Florence Pugh in it,
big yes.
who I think is a captivating screen presence.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's just so nice.
So nice.
Yeah.
Also out this week is the wide release of Moon Age Daydream, which we talked about last week, and quite excitingly, the re-release of Avatar, which is being shown in IMAX, IMAX 3D, 4DX, VIP, 3D, and regular old 2D.
I'm very excited for this, because can I tell you a secret?
What's that secret?
I haven't seen Avatar.
I find this shocking. So, spoilers, I already knew that. Because you told me that earlier.
I told you, yeah.
Yeah. I find it surprising because I just feel like Avatar was a movie that everybody saw when it came out, a decade ago or
I'm
so.
ashamed to say that's why I didn't go and see it.
Because everyone.
I'm a vicious little contrarian cretin. Like, I was at university when it came out. I was in the first year of my degree, and it was everywhere. Everyone was talking about it.
Hell, I am old.
And do you know what I mean? It was 2009, and to think about when that was like, what, 13 years ago?
Yeah.
No? It's a lot.
You're at university.
I was at university in my first year of my degree.
Crisps on toast. I've been graduating for a few years by that point.
But I found it. I was awful. I was this person being like, well, I won't go and see it then, and I just kept putting it off. And then by the time it was, not the in thing anymore, I really wanted to see it at the cinema. Then it wasn't there. So I'm ecstatic that they are releasing it in all the big formats. I can't wait to see it. The thing about this is it was designed for 3D. It was most of the movies got a 3D conversion at the time. This was very much the driving force in 3D cinema. So to get an IMAX 3D release, that sounds very exciting, and I'd like to give it a little go.
When I went to go see Avatar back in the day, because I did go and see it back in the day.
Because you were a normal human.
Because I'm a normal human being, and I went to go see it in 3D. I actually went because I wanted to tell my friends, this 3D lark ain't all it's cracked up to be. Because a lot of them had just been those conversions that sort of made everything look like South Park.
Yeah.
But this was a movie that I came out of it being like, oh, actually, that's really good. Maybe 3D is the future of cinema.
This is the thing, is that with any of these special formats, if the movie is designed to go along with them, because they can seem a little bit intimidating, and I think I would understand if you were to say, I'm not sure, because that's why we always talk about when you get an opportunity to have no uplift or a special re-release or anything like that. It's an exciting way to go and experience these new special formats. Avatar was designed for 3D. The Final Destination was one of the first movies I saw in 3D, and it was so much fun because it was built with that technology in mind. The film was constructed with that technology in mind. So it really does elevate the work, and that's, quite special.
Do you know what? Here's a fun fact for you.
Please.
It's held up as the best uses of that 3D, like as a movie designed to be filmed in 3D.
What's that?
Jim Cameron's Avatar.
Standard.
Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil Afterlife.
Interesting.
Because he filmed sections of that movie in 3D using the same setup and everything that Cameron used for Avatar. And Cameron himself was sort of about raved about how great it looks in 3D. And in sort of Sony's offices and stuff where they've shown the great examples of 3D. Resident Evil Afterlife is still used as one of the pinnacle examples of great 3D in cinema.
It's not that much of a shock really, because I guess a horror movie that it is that kind of thing that is playing on the eerie and it draws you in, and it's why Avatar works as well, because I understand, I assume, having not seen it, but my understanding is that because it's this fantasy world, it allows you to sort of experience the whole thing.
It does make it a very immersive experience. It really did, actually. Like, and it was one of those times I saw it and I was like, oh wow, I really do feel like I'm in this world of Pandora and all this. I actually haven't seen the movie since I saw it in 2009. So I am like 13 years removed from previously seeing it. So I think when I'm going to go watch it again, I'm either going to go watch it in IMAX or IMAX 3D because I want to see it in the 3D. But the 4DX one's actually the really exciting one for me because, you talked about how like 3D movies that were specifically made in 3D, these 4DX ones are specifically programmed for that. So it's not just the seats go or something at random points or things just spray in your face. No, it's programmed to be and to match and to work so it becomes an immersive experience.
Have you been told about the process?
I actually don't know. I've only seen it when we filmed there the other week.
So I love this. It's great. There are teams whose job it is to watch the movie and program specifically what they think the best sort of movement to the camera is. They're like there's a craft to it. They're in Korea. Essentially, they're allowed to sort of like see the movie. There's a little team, and they just focus on the movie, and they like put everything together, almost like composing a score to go along with the film.
That's why Keanu Reeves described it.
Well, because you see the movie, and it is so it's all linked. It's and that's why it's when we do talk about it, it's not just a frivolous thing. It's kind of a new way of experiencing the movie, and especially with Avatar. If you have seen Avatar a bunch of times and you're hyped about the new one, it's a whole new way of seeing it.
Also out this week is Ticket to Paradise.
Indeed.
And you had a chance to speak with some very famous people.
I did. I spoke to star of the movie, Caitlin Dever, and I spoke to its director, Ol Parker, all about what it was like to shoot this movie in literal paradise.
I ran into Ol at a party, our director, and he had told me, I had met him before, and I thought that he was just the greatest person ever and was so sweet and someone that I really wanted to work with. And he said, I'm writing something for you. And I was like, I did not believe him. I was like, that's just not. He's like, yes, I'm writing a part that I think you'd be really great for. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he actually did send me this story, and I fell in love with it immediately, and it was so exciting, and it made me laugh, made me kind of cry, and it was great. And I was so kind of, honestly, I was mind blown that Ol even thought of me for this part. And then he was like, yeah, and George Clooney and Julia Roberts are gonna play your parents. I was like, oh, cool, okay.
So I started trying to think about ways to make people laugh when they did eventually, as they hopefully would, go back to the cinema. And and then I talked to my friend Sarah, who's the producer on the movie, and we came up with this. And with the idea I was like, it should be George and Julia. It should feel like the sequel to a movie that was never made, that you never saw, but it should be, that's the way to do an older romantic comedy, is to sort of reference a youth that they had. Do you know what I mean? And so it was always them, and that was central to the concept. It came very fast and very easy, I have to say. And then I wrote it with my friend Dan, and we sent it to them. And the thing that you never do is send it to two actors at the same time. You just send it to one and try and get one. And if you say in your letter, this is also for the other one, if the other one says no, then you just look like a gibbon. But luckily, they both said yes at the same time.
Then they were very complimentary of your shirt.
I walked into the room and they both were like, oh, your shirt's wonderful. I was like, thank you very kindly. And I didn't plan this. I kind of woke up and I was like, I want to look nice for Caitlin Dever, I'll be honest. So I just picked out a nice shirt and wore it. And then I realized as I was on my way to the hotel to do the junket, it was themed with a tiger on there and lovely plants. And it was thrilling. It was thrilling.
Such a stylish man.
It worked. And now I'm all she can think about.
Also out is See How They Run, Tad the Lost Explorer, and The Curse of the Mummy.
Bodies, 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 Bullet Train, Minions The Rise of Gru, and if you can believe it, Top Gun Maverick, still going.
It's the Cliff Richard The Great 80 Tour of actual cinema.
Tom Cruise The Great 80 Tour. I would argue Cliff Richard The Great 80 Tour.
The Top 80 Tour.
The Top 80?
Yeah, no, well, because it was The Great 80, but I'm trying to tie it into Top Gun.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. It wasn't the strongest bit we've done.
No. I mean, in my head it sounded great, and then I said it out loud, and it didn't.
It didn't land.
But the problem is that you can't really go back on it then.
And we're pretty deep in it.
Well, I've already said it now.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to end up in the edit. What's your pick of the week?
I think my pick of the week this week is going to be Don't Worry, Darling. It was that or Ticket to Paradise. I think Don't Worry, Darling for me is the one where I want to talk about the movie when I leave, and I want people to go and have a little conversation about all the questions.
I'm picking Avatar. I'm picking the re-release of Avatar. Was going to be Moon Age Daydream again, but I'm going to go with Avatar because I think it's the new movie's coming out later on this year, so I think it's a good chance for people, if you haven't seen it, i.e. like yourself, or you want to refresh your memory of what the movie was like, I would say go and see that. And we have unlimited screenings of Smile on September 26th and The Lost King on the 27th of September.
I keep going up the escalators, and this one tube station has a massive poster of Smile. So you're coming up the escalators and this person is evilly smiling at you, and I am scared.
Do you want to go see it together?
Yeah, I'm going to need some help. I want to see it, but I don't want to see it on my own.
But that's all we've got time for on this edition of What's On at Cineworld Cinemas. You can check out all the movies we've discussed with the links in the video description down below. And if you like these two idiots yammering back and forth, there's more of it in the podcast realm on all good, bad, and mediocre podcast platforms. But until then, I've been Luke Owen.
And I've been Dan Late.
And that's What's On.